Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined as always by the man who often stands on rooftops with his falcon. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I'm good. I'm all right. I'm in the right country for a bit of falconry.
That's exactly what I thought. You know, I remember when I lived in Dubai, in my local pub, there was a guy who used to come in, an Arabic gentleman. He would often come in with his falcon, just sit at the bar, at the table with his falcon, just sat there, and you'd kind of be shitting yourself, really, because you're in this pub and you're like, there's a fucking literal bird of prey over there that could easily peck my eyes out, but he always seemed good-natured. Well,
whenever, I've not seen it for a while, but whenever I fly between the Middle Eastern countries, I would sometimes see guys who would take their falcons on the plane, you know, so they would just like sit, obviously they're short flights, and they would just be sitting in their seat with their falcon on their arm. I was telling somebody, I was at a party in Glasgow just before the pandemic with my dad, and we were talking to this guy who's a falconry guy, and I was telling him how I'd seen Arabic guys taking their birds on the plane, and he said we're in a big risk there, and I was like, why? But like, if it got loose, the air pressure or something might send it loopy or something like that. He said no. He said that if they shite, it fires out their arse, and it will go for like about it'll you know, we were in a golf club function hall. He said where that wall is, which was about 20 metres away, he said it easily hit that wall. I was like, fuck's sake. So
that'd be quite a surprise if you're just sitting down to watch some in-flight entertainment, and then a big falcon shite comes
hot runny
hitting towards you.
Hot runny falcon shite splatters all over your falafel sandwich and your little carton of water.
Wow, who knew? That is impressive stuff. Jesus, would never have expected that.
No, me neither. So
well, there you go. It's an educational podcast today, then, folks. How's everything else? All good?
All very well indeed. Yep, all very well. What about yourself? What's been going on?
Yeah, all good. Yes, no, all fine. Everything's just grand at the moment. Thank you very much. So no complaints. Yeah, all good. I'm just excited to delve into what's been happening in Scotland over the last couple of weeks.
Okay then. Well, in that case, we better cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen in the news over the last couple of weeks that has caught your eye and you'd like to share with me and our lovely listeners?
Okay, well, my first story comes from the Scottish Sun, from the 13th of April. The headline reads, "Bloody hell, I'm a male GP and I was stopped from donating blood after refusing to confirm if I was pregnant." So this is Dr. Stephen McAndrew. He said that he booked an appointment at a blood donation centre in Ayr on April the 11th, but a nurse told him he could not attend unless he formally declared he was not carrying a child. He said, "I can't believe they would refuse a donation from a man based on the fact I refused to say if I was pregnant." The doctor, who's based at a surgery in Prestwick in Ayrshire, said he was unwilling to back down and tick the box on a form due to the principle of the matter. He said, "To say it's bonkers would be an understatement. I have a nagging feeling that it is political correctness gone too far, trying to placate and pacify the gender brigade," whoever the gender brigade are. And Dr. McAndrew added, "They simply said I could not donate if I didn't answer the question." The Scottish National Blood Transfusion Service said that since April last year, they had asked all donors, "Are you pregnant or have you been pregnant in the last 6 months?" A spokeswoman said, "We appreciate that for many donors, including some female donors such as postmenopausal donors, this question will not be relevant." The spokeswoman said the service would change the policy later this year in light of concerns. She added, "Following feedback, we are planning to update the wording of the question." So I'm just wondering who the gender brigade are. So I am.
Yeah, because I'm familiar with the Green Brigade, the Celtic fans, but the gender brigade.
I'm familiar with the Boys Brigade.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah,
and the Girls Brigade, of course. But yeah, just
is there a Girls Brigade?
Yeah,
it's not the Brownies.
No, that's the Brownies are they're like the female Cubs. But I remember I was at Scouts for a while when I was in my sort of early teens, and I was there just after they started letting girls join the Scouts. So girls have got the choice now whether to go to guides or whether to go to Scouts. Boys only have the choice of Scouts. They can't go to girl guides or the brownies if they don't want to.
That's the gender brigade gone mad, isn't it?
Political correctness gone mad.
That's terrible. So he wasn't able to give blood because he refused to answer a question.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that you just fucking tick the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To say that, and
You
have
know?
a laugh about it. You don't fucking write to the Sun. You know what I say? You won't believe this mild inconvenience that's happened to me this week.
I can't give blood in the Netherlands because I'm from the UK.
Yeah.
And I was in the UK between 1980 and 1996. So if you've lived in the UK between 1980 and 1996, you're not allowed to give blood in the Netherlands.
That's because of the mad cow stuff, right?
It is indeed, yes. It's because of mad cow disease. So it's quite worrying.
Well, yeah, but it's the same here as well. I can't give blood here either for the same reason. Exactly the same reason. And they won't. It's the same reason that a lot of countries still don't import British beef because of that. But I think if you'd eaten some like mad cow between 1989 and 1996, I think it might be out your system by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, possibly. You think you would know about it. Or as you say, it might have been out your system. You never know, though. They do say that that red meat does stay in your body for quite a while.
Yeah, but I suspect not like almost 40 years, though. 35 years.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Oh, well. So what's going to happen with this guy? Is it just he can't give blood and that's it? And he's just gone to the Sun to get his few minutes of fame?
Well, it seems that way. Obviously, the spokeswoman from the Scottish Blood Transfusion Service has said that they're planning to change the question or the wording of the question following some feedback that they've had. I suspect it's just been a mistake, an administrative mistake, and no one's brought any attention to it because not everybody is as up their own arse as Dr. Stefan, and probably just saw that, showed it to their wife or girlfriend, had a good chuckle about it, or the boyfriend, had a good chuckle about it, ticked the box, and then went and gave blood and saved some lives.
Yeah. Oh, well, fair enough. Yeah, I think that would be the correct thing to do, definitely.
Exactly. So, yeah. So that's old Dr. Stefan. What's your first story this week?
Well, we're going to go to Aberdeen for my first story this week, Greg. Now, particularly Union Street. Now, we were back in Aberdeen. I mean, last year you were back in Aberdeen very recently as well. How would you describe Union Street nowadays?
I would say that it's seen better days. It's probably the pragmatic thing to say about Union Street.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's very much the case. And it's not just the view that is shared by you and I, it's also the view shared by Chanel. This is from the Scottish Sun last week, and fragrance giant Chanel has stopped their perfume from being sold on Union Street in Aberdeen because of how run down it is.
What?
The global perfume brand has ditched its account with a local pharmacy. So you will be familiar with Charles Mickey's, which is at the kind of top of Union Street. It's an institution. It's been there, well, since I can remember. So Mickey's Pharmacy in Aberdeen will no longer be allowed to sell the luxury French brand after bosses flagged concerns over the state of Union Street. It was reported that Chanel were not happy with the surrounding businesses on the major shopping street. This move was revealed after local jewellers Jameson and Carey failed to stop a takeaway opening up nearby. The news that Chanel had pulled out of their agreement came amid the takeaway row when Mickey's PR manager, Rosemary Mickey, supported the jewellers online. The business boss spoke out to the highlight of the issue to say that it could continue to hammer local businesses. She claimed Mickey's, which first opened in 1921, Greg, lost the account because of this issue. Rosemary, who was the great-granddaughter of founder Charles Mickey, posted to LinkedIn saying, "We have personal experience with this type of issue. Chanel Fragrances closed our account at Mickey's Pharmacy, citing one of the reasons being that the category of surrounding businesses didn't meet their brand criteria. It was a major account for us for years and a significant blow to our offering. And then apparently the paper reported how there are fears similar luxury brands could also abandon the city centre street over similar fears. So, Union Street is such a shithole now that Chanel will no longer allow their perfume to be sold. I mean, I've never heard of that. Like, they're saying you can't sell our brand because it's not befitting of the surrounding areas. I mean, I'm trying to think up, like, where Charles Mickey's is. I mean, what? There's probably a Greg's and a charity shop next door. At least. It's a sad state of affairs, Union Street now, but it's incredible that brands are, now saying you can't sell our product because the place is such a shithole.
When you started telling the story there, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. When you said it's a view shared by Chanel, I thought you meant like some woman called Chanel, and we were going to be ranting. And secondly, I don't think there are any luxury brands on Union Street anymore, because the House of Fraser isn't. It's not House of Fraser anymore. It's like was it Debenhams? It was Fraser's, wasn't it? Down near the opposite the court and the corner of Market Street and Union Street.
If you want to basically sum up Union Street, then yes, House of Fraser's, which used to be, a landmark shop on Union Street, is now a Sports Direct.
Right, yeah. So, and then, when I walked up a chunk of Union Street the other week, because we were going for dinner in an Italian restaurant, which was actually very nice, up near the top of Union Street. I think it used to be the Bud Bar, but now it's quite a nice Italian restaurant.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of vapories, because that's a word for vape shops. Usual charity shops. HMV continues to hang in there.
Incredible. How?
I know.
I mean, it's amazing that is still there.
Yeah. And they were busy as well, because my daughter wanted to go and spend some of her money in there on posters and stuff for her bedroom. Yeah, I think the closest is probably going to be the shop that our mutual friend likes in the Academy. But I wouldn't say that although they do sell brands that you and I and he like, I wouldn't call them luxury brands. A luxury brand would be like Gucci or Versace or whatever. I don't think there's anywhere selling that sort of gear on Union Street anymore.
No. I don't think so. I mean, has there ever been? I don't know. It's a good shout. I don't know if you could get that kind of stuff previously.
There used to be a shop near the top of Union Street, like a kind of boutique shop, and I can't remember what it's called, but they used to sell Versace and Gucci and stuff. Like right near the top, maybe even near the college, or maybe even past the college. It might actually have been Queen's Road. Might not be Union Street.
Oh, Kafka.
Yeah, well remembered. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. They used to sell that stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, I was never really in there. I could never afford to buy anything.
No, me neither. I'm sure I probably stumbled past it a few times after a night in the International Casino on my way home.
But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs now that, brands are saying you're not allowed. I mean, it is a shame of what's happened to Aberdeen city centre, but, is there any solution? Is there anything they can do about it?
Well, that leads brilliantly to my next story.
Oh, really?
We're staying in Aberdeen for my story, and this columnist for the Press and Journal might have the solution to Union Street's problems, Nicky. Yeah. So this is David Knight. He is a long-standing columnist and editor for the Press and Journal, Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire's local paper. And his contention is that cable cars in and out of Union Terrace Gardens, and for anybody who's not familiar with the geography of Aberdeen city centre, Union Terrace Gardens is just off Union Street, right in the centre. But he says that cable cars in and out of Union Terrace Gardens would be a showstopper, Nicky. A showstopper. The timing might not be quite right for Aberdeen, but exciting new innovations like a cable car can do wonders for a city's reputation. So he starts off his story with, everything seemed to be going so well on our cable car ride to the top of the Rock of Gibraltar. We had been privileged to stumble across an extraordinary piece of history there. The graves of two young Royal Navy officers struck down together by a single cannonball in the Battle of Trafalgar. Now we were high and away in the cable car, which, with some heaving and creaking, completed a seemingly near vertical ascent. The views of Gibraltar below and the sea glistening in the sun were amazing. We came to a stop, the doors opened, and a Barbary ape stood staring back at us. The ape colony which lives there is quite a tourist attraction, but a bit boisterous at times. In a flash, the ape leapt inside the cable car and made a grab for my wife's Marks and Spencer's bag. As she was the first in the queue. He was aiming to mug an easy target, with maybe the hope of an egg mayonnaise sandwich as his prize. But there was only a pair of new beach shorts inside. The mad ape got more than he bargained for. A ferocious tug-of-war broke out with my wife. She wasn't going to put up with the antics of a wild monkey. She'd done that for long enough with me. Oh, David, what you like? The ape... The ape knew he'd met his match and gave up, so he turned his attention to the rest of the passengers. We fled with screams and shrieks of horror bouncing off the roof and reverberating round our ears. Luckily, no one was hurt, apart from the ape's pride, after being left empty-handed, and needless to say, alone, in the cable car cabin. Cable is now on the table for Aberdeen. Or maybe not. So it fucking goes from... I suspect a well-told holiday anecdote to is what his column is actually about. So cable is now on the table in Aberdeen, or maybe not, as the City Council doesn't want to put any taxpayer cash into cable car proposals by private entrepreneurs. If it ever gets off the ground in Aberdeen, I doubt if passengers would be bothered by monkeys, but you never know who's going to sit next to you in public transport these days, do you? Fucking hell. Thinking of the world's top cable car rides made me recall the Monkey Saga and fantasise about being a competitor in television reality travel adventure Race Across the World. They have been battling out in Canada in the latest BBC series, but what caught my eye in the show were the early stages round Vancouver, Jasper, Banff and Calgary. I enjoyed a hectic road and rail trip around these very places a few years ago. Running cable cars into Aberdeen city centre from a new look beach development also has a mountain to climb. Apart from the initial investment, it would cost up to £1 million a year, but it would still be quite a sight, and maybe a visual boost the city needs, even though the world's best cable car rides usually have spectacular mountains as their backdrop. The timing of going cap in hand to a hard-up Aberdeen city centre could be better, as it's busy cutting jobs and closing everything down. Imagine the uproar if, after destroying libraries, swimming pools and sports centres, the council poured millions into bankrolling cable cars. But exciting new innovations can do wonders for a city's reputation, so apparently they're casting around for landing spots suitable to turn into cable stations. I can think of a perfect spot. Union Terrace Gardens, newly refurbished at a cost of £30 million, but lacking a wow factor that would be the icing on the cake for visitors. Cable cars in and out of Union Terrace Gardens would be a showstopper, similar to the famous monorail I enjoyed going straight through the lobby of Contemporary Resort Hotel at Disney World in Florida. So he's basically just picked this to brag about all the holidays that he's been. That's like the third holiday that he's had.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But here's where he shows his political leanings. Maybe Aberdeen City Council didn't want to burn its fingers on public transport after the monumental mess the SNP government made of West Coast ferries. After all, if the SNP is incapable of delivering a ferry service, or even running itself, how can it be trusted with an independent Scotland? So he gets a boot into the beleaguered SNP there at the end. But it does feel like it'd be a bit of a waste of time putting cable, because you could walk from Union Terrace Gardens to the beach in about 25 minutes if you were, if you're going at a fair pace. I think a cable car. I
mean, when I think how much kind of criticism the tram system in Edinburgh came in for when that was mooted.
The tram pedo are you talking about there?
The tram pedo, of course. I forgot about the tram pedo. When I think how much, abuse that got, fucking cable cars in Aberdeen, like what next? Like let's install hovercrafts in Perth or something. Like it's insane. A cable car in Aberdeen. I mean, where? I mean, Union Terrace Gardens. I mean, I haven't been to it since it's been done up, and I think there was a lot of money spent doing it up. From what I've read online on the Aberdeen forum, I mean, they've basically just made that area nice for the junkies, because that's all I've heard. It's still exactly the same people that frequent it, junkies and pedos. But yeah, they've just made the area look nice for the junkies, giving them a nice area to shoot up. A cable car, that is preposterous. Yeah, as you say, you can walk from the beach to Ewan Terrace Gardens. Yeah, probably 25 minutes at the most. I mean, if you're walking a brisk pace. I'm not sure. Could you imagine that though? You're just kind of walking down Union Street. You just, you're upset. You haven't been able to get any Chanel perfume. Kafka's closed now. You've been in the Salvation Army. You've gone to Greg's to get a stroll. You've got to Ladbrokes to put on a line. And then just this cable car just comes shooting over your head. I mean, when you think about the arse that they make in Aberdeen when they put up the Christmas lights, for example, like, could you imagine putting a fucking cable car? I mean, what, is it going to be part of Cadona's or something?
maybe Cadona's are the entrepreneurs that are wanting to invest in it with public money. Because you'd have to you'd have to have it pretty high up, right? So it's uphill from the beach to the city centre. So you would have to have the sort of tallest sort of support apparatus right in the city centre. Like in Union Terrace Gardens, one would assume. Yeah. You're not going to stick it in the middle of Union Street. It's fucking. I just thought I'd heard it all.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. What a preposterous kind of idea. I'd love to see it though. It just kind of reminds me of that Simpsons episode with the monorail.
It does.
He's just coming into
cable cars. Yeah.
Honestly, ridiculous. Well. I'd love to see it, but I don't think I'll be seeing that anytime soon.
I don't think it'll be in our. It'll be in our lifetime, mate.
No. I'd say the only cable that's getting laid in Union Terrace Gardens is from a junkie.
Oh dear. Oh fucking hell. Anyway, so that's poor Aberdeen had been well and truly roasted. That was two stories.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
That's terrible.
Why don't you cheer us up with your next story?
Yeah, let's move away from Aberdeen. Let's go on to some of Scotland's most beloved sons, Greg. If I was to say the most famous twins that you can think of, apart from the ones from Funhouse, who would you say is, of course, the Scotland's most famous twins?
It has to be the Proclaimers.
Of course it is. Scots twins Craig and Charlie. So this is from the Scottish Sun today, and the headline is "Orf with their hit." The Proclaimers song 500 Miles has been pulled from the Coronation playlist because of their anti-royalist views. Now, this is quite good actually, because this episode is going to go out on the 4th of May, Greg, and the King's coronation is on the 6th of May. I only just discovered that because I think I share the views of Craig and Charlie that I could not give a shite about that. So the Proclaimers have been pulled from an official King's coronation playlist because of their anti-royal views. Their hit, I'm Gonna Be, 500 Miles, was part of the UK government's compilation, which is set for the May the 6th party. An MP pal of the Proclaimers last night said that the famous twins wouldn't cross the road for the King's coronation. Never mind walk 500 miles. So this blast came after it emerged that the UK government had deleted the Geo's anthem from this official playlist. Embarrassed officials at the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport axed the song after they were alerted to its performers' strong anti-royalist beliefs. Edinburgh-born Craig and Charlie, 61, have repeatedly declared that they are Republicans who don't believe in having an unelected head of state. So this journalist has accused the DCMS, which again stands for the Digital Culture, Media and Sports Society place, of arrogance for including the hit on the compilation in the first place. The Alba MP said, "I think it's just an assumption that everybody is signed up for the Royals in this jamboree." It's jamboree. It's a coronation. It's a jamboree. It's just arrogance from the establishment. I'm sure they'll find many in Scotland share Charlie and Craig's Republican sympathies. I'd imagine the Proclaimers, like many in this country, wouldn't cross the road, never mind walk 500 miles for this junket that will cost a fortune at a time when many folk are living in misery. It is understood that the palace wasn't involved in compiling the playlist, so just need to make that clear. Charlie didn't accidentally delete it with his big sausage fingers. Last year, Charlie Reid spoke out to back a man who protested in Oxford against the new king being proclaimed. He said, "Oh, proclaimed? Oh, they haven't picked up on that. I wonder if they did that on purpose." He said, I think one guy was lifted for shouting, "Who elected him?" And I thought that guy spoke for me. And he speaks for loads of other people in Scotland and right around the UK. Charlie added that the idea that they agree to have an unelected head of state in 2022 is unbelievable. So the song did appear on the Coronation celebration playlist alongside classics from The Who, Tom Jones, The Kinks, plus Starlight by Scots singer Emily Sandé. A spokesman said it was created to celebrate British and Commonwealth artists ahead of the coronation. The Proclaimers have been approached for comment. So Proclaimers axed from the list because they are anti-royal.
So Craig and Charlie are going to be at least 500 miles away from London in early May on the day of the coronation. Yeah, fair enough. But it's not a holiday here, obviously. It won't be a holiday where you are either. My kids are invited to wear Union Jack colours to school instead of their school uniform on the day of the coronation. That's as much of a nod towards it as it'll be getting here. I certainly won't be sitting watching it, I don't think.
Well, I mean, we have a holiday here on Thursday because it's King's Day, as in the Dutch King. So every year there is a big celebration and it's a public holiday. So, I mean, I don't really take part in that. I mean, it is, everyone basically wears orange and just has street parties and gets pissed. You know, that's kind of the thing.
Like when Rangers win the league. That's
yeah, basically. That's exactly. Exactly. So that'll be happening on Thursday. But yeah, I mean, it's... I wouldn't take any part in this coronation or this jamboree, as this cat calls it. Instantly reminded of Harry Hill there for some reason. Oh, it's the Badger Parade. It's like I don't know, the jamboree. Fucking brilliant. But yeah, I mean, surprising. I guess it is a big iconic hit, though. You know, I'm going to be 500 miles, so you would think it would be a kind of instant classic that would be on a playlist to celebrate, you know, British artists, but unfortunately not anymore.
But I've seen the Proclaimers live. They played a charity thing that was like years and years ago. The charity thing was part organised by Real Radio, RIP, and now Heart Radio. But they had the Proclaimers, and I would tell anybody who has never seen the Proclaimers who would like to go and see Charlie and Craig, maybe don't stand too close to the front of the stage because Charlie spits a lot when he's singing. There's like a fairly steady stream of saliva dropules flying from his mouth when he's belting out their hits. So you just stand back a wee bit.
Much like a falcon shite.
Yeah. Charlie Reid's spit can travel at a distance of at least 20 metres at a high velocity. Much like a falcon's shite. So,
I wonder, I mean, it says a lot that I guess they've just put together a playlist for this because, I mean, I would have thought the coronation, you know, we had the Queen's Jubilee and stuff, a Jubilee, not a Jamboree, whereas this is the King's Jamboree, but they're just basically putting together a Spotify playlist for this because basically nobody wants to be involved.
It's austerity, you know what I mean? Well, I think it's not. I don't think it's that fashionable to sort of I did see Ronnie Wood's. Well, I didn't see it because I don't get the one show here, but I did see somebody complaining on social media about Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones was being interviewed the other day. He's also quite a good artist, quite a celebrated artist, Ronnie Wood. In addition, in addition to being a great guitarist, and he was showing off paintings that he had done of Prince William and family and stuff. I just thought, it's supposed to be a Rolling Stone. It's supposed to be fucking anti-establishment, not fucking painting pictures of them. Do you know what I mean? Come on, Ronnie.
Oh dear, never mind. I was reminded of one of my favourite royal stories the other day actually, which was it was Tam Cowan on Off the Ball. Right. I mean, this is obviously going back years ago, and it was when it was the Queen Mum's 99th birthday. So that's how far back we're going. And she was pictured having a 99 ice cream on her 99th birthday, you know, so like a Mr. Whippy with a flake in it and stuff. And Tam Cowan says, "Christ, I wonder what she did 30 years ago."
Very good. Very good.
Oh, never mind. Anyway, so that Super Proclaimer is banned from Prince Charles. It's jamboree. I'm going to use that word so often now. Jamboree. How many times can I fit it in before the end of the episode? Have you seen anything else this week, Greg, that's caught your eye?
Well, I've got a bit of a, we always say in the last episode we had a bit of a Ken Buchanan obituary. I've got another obituary this week, but I think it's quite an interesting one. But before that, I've got a bit of a Nicholas Rossi update. Remember a few episodes ago we were having a laugh at, as he battles being extradited back to the US to face, I guess, a trial where he's accused of sexual assault and things. He is currently at His Majesty's pleasure in a notorious sort in prison, and we had a good laugh because we've read that his fellow prisoners were singing the John Denver classic, "Leaving on a Jet Plane." Well, just to make sure that he's never far away from the media, he has converted from Catholicism to Judaism. He's decided that he has found comfort in the Jewish faith, and but he's continued to complain about being bullied when the prison canteen keeps sending him ham sandwiches for his lunch.
That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, so I hope he stays in Sawton for a long time, because it sounds like like the torment of potential rapists is always good fun, and it sounds as though the prisoners at Sawton have a good knack for it. So, But yeah, so my next story. So I'd never heard of this guy. He passed away on the 8th of April, a couple of weeks ago. Him and I share a birthday, funnily enough. His name is Bob Heatley, and he was a Scottish songwriter and record producer. And probably his most famous song, and the one that would definitely have kept his bank balance topped up over the years, was the Shakin' Stevens classic "Merry Christmas Everyone."
Oh wow.
But he also wrote Japanese Boy, Japanese Boy, the song by Anika. He wrote the theme tune for a fondly remembered stop motion sort of cartoon that I really enjoyed as a kid called Trapdoor.
Oh, yeah. And
he also wrote the theme tune for the aforementioned Pat Sharp's Funhouse as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, but he's been working for years. Most of his work with Shakin' Stevens. It was probably the first musical act that I was really into as a little boy. I liked Shaky. But yeah,
Welsh Elvis.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, he passed away at the good age of 76 on the 8th of April. So Bob Heatley. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Bob. Oh, lovely. Oh, wow, I can't believe he did the theme tune of Funhouse. That's pure coincidence that I mentioned that earlier.
I know. Do you have any more stories for us this week?
You know what? I've got one little thing that I'll do with you. And this is something that often crops up when I'm looking for news stories. And it's something that I always that's what when we set out to do this podcast, we kind of set out to do the news stories of like, why is this in the newspaper? Why is this news? Yeah. And almost every week there is a story of some celebrity that's been somewhere and had their photo taken. Now, what I mean by that is, I remember months ago there was a whole article about Gerard Butler being at this barber's in Glasgow and getting his photo taken. And it just so happened Darius Dinesh was there as well, R.I.P. Darius. Yeah. And I think there was one, recently, like Lewis Capaldi was at some fish and chip shop or something and got his photo taken. So I just thought this was a fun little game that I could maybe play with you. And we could kind of play a little yes or no, like a guess who, but we'll call it like I or no. Right. And you guess who the celebrity is, but I'll give you 9 questions because Tenant Super, Purple Tin, is 9% proof. Right. So makes sense. We'll call it Guess the Celebra Super T or something like that.
I think you nailed it.
I think I've nailed it. Okay, I mean, if this is shite, I'll delete it. So this was, there was a celebrity photographed at a Glasgow restaurant. Now, this is maybe a bad example to start with. There's actually 2 celebrities in this photo, but I'm only looking for one of them. Now, I could tell you who the other one is, but it's because it's not going to give anything away. Yeah? So, or do you want to try and guess both? In fact, yeah, let's. It's our debut episode of Guess the Super Celebrity.
Goes off the tongue.
You can You can go with both, right? So you got 9 questions. I'll give you 9 questions each for each one. So I can tell you that these people were spotted. They dined at Buck's Bar in Glasgow on Friday evening. Okay, so let's go. You've got nine questions.
Okay, so is celebrity number 1, is it a male celebrity? Celebrity, I should say. Okay. Is he a television presenter?
No.
Is he an actor?
Aye.
Is he a Scottish actor?
Aye.
Right. How many questions? Is that 4?
That's 4.
Right, okay. Is he a young Scottish actor?
No.
Okay. Is he a household name?
Aye.
Is it Cosmo?
Yes, it is. It is indeed. It's James Cosmo. I mean, you will. I'll be honest. You're never going to fucking guess who he was out with.
Right, okay.
So, I mean, you could try if you like. I mean, it took you 6 questions to get Cosmo. Right. I'm not including was it Cosmo as a question. So it took you 6 to get Cosmo. So James Cosmo was out for dinner with someone else, another celebrity.
Right.
So, see if you can get the Purple Tin Award.
All right. So, I suppose my last one was only 6%, which is what? Maybe like a Stella? Like 1980s Stella?
1980s Stella, because they've weakened Stella now, I think.
It's like 4.5. Okay. Right. Okay. So, is celebrity number 2 a man?
Aye.
Right. So I'm going to go with the law of averages here because Cosmo's an actor. I'm going to ask, is he an actor?
Aye.
Is he a Scottish actor?
Aye.
Oh, right. Is he older than Cosmo?
No.
Is he a young Scottish actor?
Middle-aged. He's 54.
Right, okay. Oh, fucking hell, who could it be? Is he a household name?
He was a few, like, I would say back in the day he was. Not his name, but his character that he played was very household name. I'm really not sticking with the I or no here.
Sorry, So it must be somebody who has been on something like a soap, or something like that. What's his name? What's the guy's name? Who is it John Meekie?
No.
It's not John Meekie. Because he was in Coronation Street, wasn't he? He played a bit of a bastard Coronation Street.
I'll take the character name as well if you can't.
Okay, so a Scottish actor who is a household name. Oh, is it what's the guy called off EastEnders? I can't remember the character's name. I just remember he used to beat up that Mo. Is it him?
Yeah, I'll make it. Yeah. It's Alex Ferns who played Trevor from EastEnders. Who is recently been in the Batman film.
Oh yeah.
So
he was in Chernobyl as well on HBO. Wasn't
he was. Yeah, he was. I can't believe you got that. Yeah, Trevor from EastEnders. I was going to say Alex Ferns, the actor, but probably most famously known as Trevor, who got battered with an iron from Little Mo,
and then blew himself and somebody else up, like Sharon. Oh yeah, Sharon's boyfriend. Well, one of Sharon's boyfriends. So from over the years, can't remember who it was, but yeah. Oh, yeah. Fucking hell, that was good fun.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So let's see how that comes out in the edit, and if we'll keep it in. But Cosmo and Alex Ferns dining in Glasgow. Wonderful. Right. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up the news and wraps up the Celebra Super T game, the Purple Tin game, I think we'll just call it for short. Right, well, before we go on to what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
Tyree, Hawaii of the North, surfers' paradise. Every year these guys turn up to this beautiful unspoilt wilderness to get battered to a pulp by tons of freezing cold salt water.
I like being caressed by swirling liquid too, but indoors. Tennant's Velvet Ale, smooth, creamy, and it slips down your throat like a penguin in a velvet wetsuit. Don't you think you've had enough to drink?
Okay, Nikki, so it was your choice for this episode of The Culture Swally, so why don't you tell us or describe, introduce what we're going to be talking about today?
Thank you very much, Greg. Yes, so on today's episode of The Culture Swally, I would like to discuss The Advocates, which was a Scottish legal drama broadcast on ITV that ran for 2 series between April 1991 and March 1992. We are just going to be discussing the first series, which was 3 episodes long, and is available on YouTube if anyone wants to watch that before we spoil the hell out of it. So the series starred Ewan Stewart and Isla Blair as the main protagonists, Greg McDowell and Catherine Dunbar. Season 1 tells the tale of when a young prostitute is murdered by a deadly drug overdose. Only Doctor Joe Sangster, who has been treating her at the local health clinic, suspects foul play. In the growing climate of fear over drugs and AIDS in the city, his clinic faces closure due to a local campaign. Sangster turns to Greg McDowell for help, and a young lawyer sees a chance to make a name for himself. So this was broadcast in April 1991, to say, Greg. So I would have only been like 10 years old. So I do not remember watching this at the time, because it was probably a bit out of the kind of thing as I would have been watching around about that time. But what about yourself? Had you seen this before, or have any memory of it at all?
I hadn't watched it. I do remember it being on. I can't remember if it was this first series or the second series, but I do remember, I think my mother or my granny or someone like that might have watched it when I was around. But yeah, I was only about 13 when this was on, so I didn't watch it at the time. I have to say, I wasn't, as much as I like Ewan Stewart, like, before I watched the programme, I was a wee bit concerned. So I've never really thought of Ewan Stewart as a kind of leading man, you know? But I really enjoyed it. And I particularly enjoyed him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I particularly...
Wonder where that was going.
I particularly enjoyed him as well. It helps that his name is Greg, same as me, which is a great name for a hero, obviously. But no, it was good. It was really... Had you watched it before you watched it for the Swally?
No, I hadn't. So it was the first time I'd watched it in preparation for the episodes. And yeah, I'm the same. I enjoyed it. It's kind of got a gritty feel. It helps that it's 3 parts. I mean, we'll come on to talk about it later. I mean, I did think that there's quite a lot of story in those 3 parts. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of mixture of kind of storylines, almost too much in a way. But I thought it was well done. Very, that early 90s feel. I mean, what is it? Was it just because it's Edinburgh in the 90s, so everything's got to be about AIDS and heroin?
Yeah.
It does seem that way. It's a shame that that's kind of what you take away from something like this. But it was really good, and I thought it was very... quite cleverly done. It kind of reminded me like it was almost like an Ian Rankin kind of, Rebus kind of novel thing. And I guess not try to be like Taggart, but setting it in a law firm, I guess, is a bit different from him being a police officer or a journalist. So, which would be the kind of usual investigative type roles you would have. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And Ewan Stewart was great in it. I say the character of Greg, who he plays, he's a Cambridge educated lawyer. He's obviously he went down to London to study. He's obviously really smart and very intelligent, but he just effectively didn't want to toe the line down in London. I think he does say at one point, he didn't want to pay his way in. So he's come back up to Edinburgh and started out, in this law firm, kind of as a trainee, effectively, and he's trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah, sort of tenacious, kind of rule breaker, sort of bad boy of Scottish law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's good. And I found I thought the story was really good, and I didn't get the sort of reveal. I didn't see it coming in the last episode, and I probably should have done, because the sort of structure and setup is fairly standard. But the thing that kind of threw me a wee bit was the kind of choir music at the beginning of after the adverts and all that kind of thing. It just seemed a bit out of place, because the rest of the soundtrack, it's very much in the sort of Taggart vein. There's a bit of kind of funky bass stuff going on at one point, and a lot of synthesizer stuff. Is very sort of 1980s, early 90s sort of police procedural kind of music. But then this kind of weird, kind of eerie choir music at the beginning of each episode, and even after the adverts, when it comes back on after the commercial break, there's that weird choir. It's weird, right?
Yeah, I did have that in my notes in terms of, I think it's towards the end of the last episode, and when Lennox is kind of attacking Andrea, and I was like, fucking hell, this 80s synth music is phenomenal. Like, it's just sort of, really kind of dirty. But I did say, like, you have kind of the same music playing throughout episodes as well. And as you say, the choir thing, you're like, fuck, have I been watching an episode of Cadfael? Instead, it's like, it's it's a bit kind of takes you out of it a little bit, but yeah, I thought, overall, that was kind of one of the few downsides to the show. I thought it was pretty good overall.
Yeah, it's really good. And a lot of people really sort of going for it, like Isla Blair. And Stella, is it Stella Gonay? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think Gonay is the correct pronunciation. Yeah, I mean, she's great as well. I mean, of course, I probably know her. I mean, my mum loved The House of Elliot, which I think is probably. I think she was in Holby City for quite a while.
And the Crow Road.
But yeah, I mean,
the Crow Road as well.
Great. And of course,
Fiona.
Yeah, of course, the Crow Road. Yeah.
Yeah. She gets to share a bed with Alex Norton. That was every actress's dream. She's great. And she's got that sort of 1980s kind of power woman sexiness about. I know obviously it came out in 1991, but the 80s weren't. It feels a bit 80s still, even though it's the early 90s. And she's great. She's got the big earrings. She's got the sort of perm, the shoulder pads. You know what I mean? Like the guy that she's seeing is just like a real mismatch. They're the guy that she's in a bit of a relationship with at the beginning. And it's not clear what the situation is. Is she just is she with him because she's just been sort of invested as an advocate at the very beginning, and he's important to her career, or does she actually like him? And then she kind of fucks him off, doesn't she? Yeah. The second episode, she's just like, it's fucking not for me, this. And she seems to sort of set her sights a little bit on Greg, like a bit like all the ladies do eventually.
I mean, they obviously kind of know each other. They have I guess a bit of a background, but it never really is explained. And it's the same with, Greg's backstory as a whole kind of never really goes into. You see him in his apartment, and there is a photo of him with a woman. Yeah. And says, so who's she? Why aren't you with her? And he says, I think her husband might be a bit upset about that. Yeah. So you're like, right, why is he still got... That's a bit weird, isn't it? To still have a photo lying around of someone you're no longer with.
Well, for sure, but it also feels as though... I mean, I guess we'll do the second and last series in a future episode, but it sort of feels like in this one there's a lot of laying the groundwork for characters, so they don't give too much away about Greg's background, and enough, suffice to say, enough that he's been to London and he's Cambridge educated. He's working for her auntie, right, Isla Blair, who she's running the practice, and is Stella Gonay's auntie in the show. So maybe that's because he's at her investment. Like the first scene, she's being invested as an advocate by the Nazi general from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And he's there, and he's sort of, like his body language, he's sitting right behind her, and while she's standing up, sort of taking her oath, and he's sort of looking down with his sort of holding his head up by his forehead and his hand and stuff, while the auntie is looking on proudly. So it does suggest a bit of a relationship of some kind in the past. But I think maybe I think maybe they felt like this would be something that would go on for a few years. Like it wouldn't just be sort of 2-3 episode series and done. Like maybe it would be like a sort of it would sort of maintain like sort of Taggart or something like that, and they could flesh out more of the characters and kind of build on their backstory and everything else.
They pack a lot in to the 3 episodes. You have the drugs, prostitutes, dodgy politicians, Viv and her husband, there's always little quips there, you know, a little bit of light comic relief in terms of she's always joking about her marriage.
Yeah.
You know, the law firm is in financial trouble because you've had two partners just retired. You kind of got a little story of Catherine and Campbell. They've got the little kind of budding romance, you know, two people in their kind of twilight years that have kind of found each other, and it's you know, it's very heavily implied. It's friendship, but there could be a little bit more to it. And of course you have the whole dodgy dealing with, you know, Milligan and Bill Webster from Coronation Street, you know, Kevin's dad. Which throughout my notes I kept writing Veach, but I just kept writing Bill Webster because it's you'll always be, you know, much like Trevor from EastEnders. You know, Bill Webster he's always going to be Bill Webster. There's a lot going on in this, but it kind of works. Like it does, everything kind of ties together. And we'll come on to her later, but one of Shirley Henderson's first roles, and you know, she's pivotal into the storyline. And I think they do well in terms of there's so much going on, but they do kind of tie it all up, and everything kind of makes sense. But at some points it was a little bit difficult to follow. Yeah, I felt there was a lot going on.
Yeah, the stuff with Aykroyd, the guy who's, you know, he's HIV positive. Well, I think he's meant to have contracted AIDS when we meet him, and the Doctor Sangster is sort of protecting him and keeping him away from Kevin's dad and kind of ponytail.
Kevin's dad,
Mulligan ponytail falconry criminal, and so the whole thing there, I wasn't quite sure, because like when we first see him, I thought he'd had a kicking, and that's why he looked the way he did. I thought he'd been beaten up, because the Doctor's like, you know, you don't have to say anything, just nod. And I thought, well, he's obviously just landed in the hospital and he's still in pain. And it's not until we see him later on when he's in what I take to be a hospice or something like that, reading the paper, and when you see him walking around and stuff, and it's evident then that and obviously we find out later on after he gets killed that he was ill, and that's why he looked the way he did. So you're right. There was a lot of these sort of disparate little threads that don't really get kind of pulled in until really the last episode. Like Shirley Henderson's character, you know, we don't see much of her in the first episode really, and we see a little bit more in the second, and then the third episode she's obviously pivotal to the whole sort of wrap up of the story. Yeah, so, but I mean, you know, I still kind of liked it because it does remind me of sort of these old classic British sort of dramas where, you know, I think there wasn't necessarily a need to try and grab the viewer's attention straight away, because there's only another like 3 channels. What are you going to do? You'll flip it over to the fucking snooker on BBC Two or something like that, you know. So I think people's patience and their willingness to allow themselves to be led and the story to be built up and built up and built up was probably more so than now. I think if you were doing The Advocates now, the whole murder of the girl at the beginning would have been a lot more sort of bombastic, I think, you know, or shocking, and you know, they would have had to do something explosive to make sure that they kept as much of their audience as possible. But I think back then, I think people just viewed things differently, you know.
Yeah, you're right, because I mean, watching this, as you said, when we first meet Paul Aykroyd and Doctor Joe Sangster is with him, and in my notes I'd written, "Oh Christ, is the Doctor dodgy?" Like I thought he was doing some sort of strange experiments on this guy, and effectively maybe he was giving him kind of a test medication for AIDS, but I actually wrote down, is the Doctor dodgy? Like, is there something going on here? And of course, I wasn't trusting him for the next bit, and especially when like it's at the end of episode 1 when they're in Carlton Hill and he runs away and stuff. You're like, oh, he's up to something, but of course it turns out he's not really. It's all kind of, so was that me misreading it, or was that intentional to try and throw people off? And you're right, that the stuff that they wouldn't do that nowadays so much, because I do think people's attention span is so short that you're right, they would have him instantly when he's with Paul Aykroyd, there would be a massive sign behind him saying like AIDS ward, or something that to really fill it in. But there was a lot that was kind of, that's what I miss about stuff like this. The viewers had to actually piece this together, and it does work so well. That's why I really enjoyed this as well.
Yeah, because like even both the first and the second episodes end on an exciting event, like sort of cliffhangery. But, the first episode, when it ends, like you were just saying, on Carlton Hill, they've successfully managed to get some photographs. But Ewan, Stewart and Stella have to, they kind of run in the opposite direction, and they have to pretend that they are lovers, having a knee trembler in the bushes in Carlton Hill. And the guy sort of comes across them. She's like, "Oh, would you mind going away," or whatever. And it's whereas, like, I think now if you would have her telling him to go away would be the beginning of the second episode. Do you know what I mean?
You're right.
The end of the first episode would be them sort of in the bushes, scared. What we're going to do, and the guy with the gun getting closer and closer, and then it would end. So that you'd be like, "Oh, fucking hell, let's get the next episode on and see what happens." Whereas, it's sort of, and then
yeah, you're right, actually, and probably about to say the end of the second episode is Paul Ackroyd gets blown up with a kind of letterbox bomb type thing, which I thought was unclear. When I watched the second episode, I wrote down, "Oh, he's been shot." I thought someone was in the flat and it poked a shotgun through the letterbox. And it wasn't until you started watching episode 3 and they explain, it was a bomb that was there. I was like, okay.
But they do sort of tease that a little bit, because you have the scene a few minutes before when Greg comes back and he goes to let himself into his flat, then he thinks better of it and goes back out again.
Yeah.
And I thought...
He's like, I forgot I said I'd go round to my mum's. But, it's got all that way. You'd think he'd be like,
"Oh, fuck it.
I'll just have a quick piss. I'll have a piss before I go," or, fuck it.
Yeah.
This was obviously quite a vehicle for Ewan Stewart and to make him kind of maybe make it happen for him. Obviously didn't really happen, but he's always been around. Did you know that we discussed in the last episode, obviously, that it came as a shock to us that he's Andy Stewart's son.
I know.
The Lucky White Heather Club, of course. Did you know that Ewan Stewart was one of the final candidates considered to play James Bond before Daniel Craig got the part?
I didn't know that, actually. I can't... Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it came as a shock to me as well. But yeah, he was down to like the final few. One 007 blogger at the time apparently said, "Ewan Stewart was surely an interesting casting choice. The only similarity he seems to hold to a past Bond actors is that at 47 years old, he's only a year or so off the age in which Roger Moore started to take the Bond career. The difference, though, is that Roger looked the part, and certainly looked younger than he was. Ewan Stewart was severely balding at this point of his career. Also, had he been cast, it would have been another year until production wrapped up. At least Sean Connery started his Bond career with hair. I'm not sure what producers were thinking of. Maybe they wanted to kill Bond off. But yeah, so he was down to... And I think that's a bit rude. Of course. But, he's had a great career. I mean, obviously famous for Titanic, but we've covered him in Looking After Jojo. He's been in Crime recently, Down Among the Big Boys. He was in Stella Does Tricks with Kelly MacDonald, which I think we're going to have to cover at some point. He was in Rob Roy. Is Ewan Stewart one of the only Scottish actors that is not in Braveheart?
I think Ewan Stewart, Billy Connolly famously didn't get a part in Braveheart or Rob Roy, which I seem to recall him making a joke about in his stand-up like a year or two after those films came out. It's like every Scottish actor that can fucking stand up in these two films, and nobody asked me to be in them.
But he's had a really good career. Of course, he was. I sent you the other day the episode of Only Fools and Horses that he said when he plays Dell's doctor, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, I remember this scene." Yeah, of course. He's had a great career.
Yeah, for sure.
But never, much like we were kind of saying on the last episode about Stephen McCall, like he never seems to have made that next level, but he's had an outstanding career. Most actors would kill for Ewan Stewart's career, and he's always as we would say, he's always that guy. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's that guy. But of course we know him as Ewan Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his IMDb at the moment. He's done a couple of movies, that like Valhalla Rising. I think it was the guy who directed Drive, with
Nicholas Winding Refn or something. He's in that, and but if you look at his early TV career, it's fucking brilliant. Like, it's all small parts, like The Professionals in 1981. He plays a character called Rudiger Molnar, so obviously somebody who's meant to be German. He's got an episode of Boone with Michael Elphick. How silver
The Only Fools and Horses episode that you mentioned there. And famously, when John Hannah was playing Rebus in the year 2000, he was his co-star in that. But funnily enough, he also appears in a Ken Stott Rebus, playing a different character. So yeah, I mean, he's a little bit like Stephen McCall. He did a short spell in River City as well, about 15 years ago. But yeah, he's had a great career. And acting from a very young age.
Like I say, he's great in this, and I think the confidence, he's very quick-witted and kind of cocky. One in particular that I like is the marmalade speech that he kind of delivers with when he's in the lift with Alex. And, that just shows kind of his playfulness, but also that he's a bit of a sarcastic arsehole as well.
I've just won my first case.
Ah, yes, the case. I heard. It was about marmalade.
We challenged the EEC regulations successfully. The next round's in Brussels. It raises some interesting points of law.
About marmalade. Who's your solicitor?
David Strachan, Scottish Office, Legal Department.
It's supposed to be a cushy number, the Scottish Office, if you like being embalmed.
I wouldn't expect you to recognise the scope of an action like this.
Hey, I recognise the scope. I mean, there's orange marmalade, grapefruit, lemon, tangerine, lime, you name it.
But around the office, he's doing stuff that they don't do. He's getting all these reports done in double quick time. He's
hassling the police for information and
I think that's the thing. There's a lot of good cast in this as well. So you have Ewan Stewart, of course, but then like Isla Blair, and it's strange. Like watching Isla Blair, like I know you from your Isla Blair. I know exactly who you are. But then when you look at her acting history and the stuff she's been in, I'm like, I've hardly seen anything she's in.
Yeah.
But how do I know that it's Isla Blair straight away? And she's so recognisable to me. She's like the Scottish Jan Francis, I would say, in a way, because they look quite similar. Maybe that's where I was mixing them up. But she just seems to be so recognisable. But, as I say, looking at her IMDb, I'm kind of like, I've hardly seen anything you've been in.
Yeah, I wish she's got an episode of Boone as well. She's in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Silver.
Yeah, she's, a lot of the stuff that you would expect an actor of her sort of generation to have appeared in, stuff like Dr. Finlay. She's got a couple of Taggarts playing different characters. Holby City, Casualty. Yeah, she's in all sorts of stuff over the years. But yeah, like when you see her face, it's like instantly recognisable. Because I think she was just in a lot of things when we were young and impressionable.
Again, I mean, I think that you could say the same about Alison Peebles that plays Viv. Not to pigeonhole the two of them together, but she's exactly the same. Like, as soon as you see her, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know her. I recognise her from loads of stuff. Yeah. But again, I mean, yeah, to be fair, when you look at her IMDb, you're like, okay, yeah, she has been in a lot of stuff as well. But it's just two instantly kind of recognisable Scottish actresses. And they're both fantastic in this as well. They're both kind of know their role, but yeah, they're both great.
Yeah, they are brilliant. And I'm sort of interested to see if the character of Viv appears in the next series, because it kind of felt like that. Yeah. It felt like that wasn't the end of her story. She's been like sharing information with what they called the London Law Consortium, who are moving into new offices nearby. She gets huckled by Isla Blair at the end for giving them info and fired, right?
I mean, I haven't watched the second series, but I can tell from obviously looking on IMDb, there's only 5 cast members come back for the second series, and they are Ewan Stewart, Isla Blair, Hugh Ross, who plays Archie at the law firm, Elspeth McNaughton, who plays Libby, the older woman at the law firm, and Alison Peebles. The rest of the cast are so all different.
We'll get to know
so she does definitely come back somehow. So yeah, but you do think, she has shafted them over, because she's obviously seen the photographs when she's tended to Catherine after she's had her ulcer kind of
episode.
So yeah, she's obviously kind of done something she shouldn't have been doing, but yeah, we're not quite sure. It seems a bit strange. So yeah, maybe that will be resolved in the second series.
Redemption in series 2, perhaps, for Viv.
I think two of the other actors that we need to discuss in this is Cal McInnish, who plays Milligan, and as you say, the ponytailed, falcon-loving beautiful Ford Sierra driving villain, and he's quite a menacing presence. He doesn't have a lot to say or do.
No.
I mean, just kind of stares a lot or makes threats, but quite an imposing figure. Like, he is very, I was quite threatened by him in terms of the performance he gives. You can tell that he's an evil bastard, but strange choice to give him a falcon.
What's this? We need to make this guy seem a bit more human. Falconry.
Not a Rottweiler or an Alsatian. We'll give him a falcon that he keeps on the balcony in his tenement and takes up to the roof when he's chatting to Bill Webster. Very strange choice, but he's great in this as well, I think. Very evil bastard, effectively.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one that's just been sort of grinding it out for years, a few Taggarts under his belt. I think the only thing we've done that he's been in is Des. He appears in 2 episodes of Des as Neil Sinclair.
He's in Caliber as well.
Oh yeah, so he is.
That we covered,
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about Caliber.
Yeah,
he is good in this. Like, I like the scene where he eventually gets huckled, on the beach, and they just he plays it well because his pal runs like fuck. Wow, he sees his henchman or whatever, so he sees what's happening and gets off his mark. Cal plays it well, just that look of resignation. We just fucked it. You know what I mean? It's that, well, I'm done. Although I did think that, I don't know, unless the Coast Guard were sort of flying round the corner, I don't know why the guys in the boat wouldn't just fucking turn the boat around and fuck off. Because the police only seems to be on the beach, don't they?
Yeah, you would think so, actually, yeah. They're kind of done for, but then they would maybe just be able to get to them somehow. I don't...
Maybe the production just couldn't afford a helicopter a Coast Guard helicopter to fly over, put the spotlight on them,
Possibly.
Yeah.
Then I guess the other main member we have is Shirley Henderson, is Andrea. Like I say, one of her first roles, and it's so strange to see her looking so kind of fresh-faced and young in this. But she is absolutely brilliant in this. Just, she kind of steals every scene that she's in.
Yeah.
And you really feel for her, in terms of, she's obviously this, the scene of her shooting up into her foot and then sparking up a fag and kind of stumbling about. You're just, she's just wonderful in this. But what a character as well. And heartbreaking when you find out that she is HIV positive. It's just that scene is just absolutely destroying.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I've always really liked her as an actress. She's there's a film that she's in with Colin Farrell, and it's set in Dublin. I think it's called Meantime. No, it's called Intermission. It's called, and she, it's a sort of. I think Kelly McDowell's in it too. It's a good film, and it's set in Dublin. It's sort of like all these different characters' stories and how they all end up sort of coming together. I think do you remember a film called Go, like an American film?
Oh yeah,
Doug.
Yeah, love Go. Yeah, Scott Wolf and Katie Holmes
is in it. Yeah. And the way that the framework of that film is, with all these different stories go on and they all connect. And she's really good. She's a good Irish accent. I've seen her. I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, when I worked at Frankie and Benny's on Paisley Roads, we got invited to the Scottish premiere of a Scottish film called American Cousins that she was in. It's got Big Pussy Bumpin' Cero from The Sopranos is in it, and the guy who plays Leonardo DiCaprio's pal that he gets on the ship with in Titanic is in it as well, and Shirley Henderson. And
I've been trying to find that for a while. Yeah, can't find it anymore.
No, I know. I was looking for it. I was going to suggest it for our next episodes, but I couldn't find it either. But yeah, we got invited to the premiere at Glasgow at the big cinema on Renfield Street, and she was there for the premiere. And she is a tiny woman. So she is.
Yeah,
she is a tiny little thing, but she's a great actress, and her filmography is fucking. She's everything from Star Wars to like Harry Potter, Bridget Jones, one of my favourite movies, 24 Hour Party People. She's in as well. She plays Tony Wilson's wife even. Yeah, she's absolutely brilliant, and like in this, she's really she's really going for it, I think, especially in that last episode when Andrea decides that she's going to do the right thing and get out from underneath Milligan, and she gets her diagnosis. I think she does go a wee bit over the top when she finds out that she's HIV positive in the park there. But yeah, no, she's fucking great in this.
Oh, come on, say it. Say it. Oh, you didn't need to say it, I know. Oh God, I can see.
You're HIV positive.
I'm not sick, you see, it's gone. No, it's okay now, it's passed off.
Good, it does that sometimes. It's inactive at the moment.
I've seen them when it gets bad. Oh God, they go like skeletons.
You're still injecting?
I told you last night, what else am I gonna do?
I can help you. I can get you away somewhere.
Oh, like you did Paul Aykroyd. Christ, he's dead!
I know. The killer made a mistake. If you were willing to help...
Oh, Chris!
Do you think like a part like that? Because for us, and I guess it's because we're Scottish, like Shirley Henderson is Shirley Henderson. We know her from so much and so many things that she's been in.
Yeah.
Whereas when you take a part in something that's so big, you kind of become synonymous with that. So the reason I'm saying this is I was listening to a podcast the other week about Happy Valley because I watched and enjoyed Happy Valley, and Shirley Henderson is in series 2 of Happy Valley.
Right.
And the hosts of this podcast just kept referring to her as Moaning Myrtle because that's all they know her from.
Yeah.
I think she's not in Harry Potter films much, is she? Like, but she's got this part. But that's what probably most people will know her for. And it'd be, it's Moaning Myrtle. Whereas you're like, Jesus Christ, this woman has done so much, incredible work over the years. But because she's had a role in that big film, I guess it's like Orlando Bloom, Elijah Wood. He'll always be Frodo Baggins, I guess.
Yeah.
Taking on a role in that kind of area. We've spoken about Robbie Coltrane. Most people, there's a whole generation that just know him as Hagrid without knowing all the stuff he's been. So does that come with it's like a poison chalice as such, but you know what I mean, or a golden snitch or whatever. But you know what I mean, like is that kind of is that a detriment to her career that's what she's probably going to be remembered for? But she's done so much incredible work.
I think one of our favourite Shirley performances is as Bunty in Filth, right?
Oh yes.
Bunty Blades.
It's just phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
Bunty, Bunty, cunty, Bunty, how does your big minge grow?
Yeah, she's just, the last sort of big film she was in was See How They Run. Just a Showtime movie, I think. It's on Disney Plus. It's got like Sam Rockwell in it and Adrian Brody, Reece Shearsmith and stuff. I've not watched it yet, but apparently it's really good. And she plays Agatha Christie in it. And then sort of TV-wise, she's just done The Mandalorian. She's done 4 episodes of The Mandalorian. But I think she just does voices because it says an Anzelian crew. And she's in the last Star Wars film as Babu Frick, which is just a voice role as well. And they've just remade the classic novel Tom Jones, or the history of Tom Jones rather, which is coming out this year that she's into. So, but yeah, she's done all sorts. Obviously, and also she's in Bob Servant as well, of course. Another favourite one of hers. But yeah, she's just never really stopped since she started. I think it says on here that her first television show was a kids UK drama series called Shadow of the Stone. I don't really remember it. I might have to relook at it on see if it's on YouTube or something. But ever since then, she's really quite prolific in terms of her output. She's got like a movie or a TV show every single year since she started, and most of which you'd have heard of. Even if you may not have seen, but you'll have heard of it.
That's the thing, is exactly as you say, when you're looking through her IMDb, everything that she's pretty much in, you're like, yep, I know that, I've seen that. It's incredible. the output that she has. And to say it's a shame that, well, it's maybe not a shame. I'm sure she got paid very well for the Moaning Myrtle. I know it's funny you mentioned that. I was just thinking about Bob Servant the other day because I was listening to a podcast about Succession, and it was an American podcast, and of course the hosts are speaking about Brian Cox's career and some of the great things that he's done, but of course they never mentioned, the Burger King of Broughty Ferry. And I almost wanted to, email in, like, guys, I have got this amazing show that you should watch that is going to blow your fucking mind. If you want to see Brian Cox, as I think we said when we did Bob Servant, like, it's kind of like what would happen if it had all gone tits up for Logan Roy and he had to get a burger van. I kind of like to watch Bob Servant with that viewpoint nowadays. But yeah. Yeah. So it's lovely to see. But yeah, Shirley Henderson, she's just wonderful in this. And as you say, maybe a couple points where she maybe goes a bit over the top. But it's one of her very early roles, so I think she did hone her craft. And phenomenal. When she steps out of that taxi and she's had her glow up and she's in a ball gown, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, she looks incredible. Like, it's just, it's wonderful. And she's great in those last few scenes as well. When she's kind of in the back room with I don't quite know, the tape recorder was hidden there, but then they still were able to hear her, screaming. I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say, so that scene, it seems like Lennox is going to chuck her over the sort of the kind of wall down into the courtyard below, but then he seems to have a change of heart because he's lifted her away from it, then he's sort of accosted by everybody who comes to help and comes to save her. But they haven't kind of pulled her from the brink. He's sort of, it's like he's decided, what the fuck am I doing here? I can't just throw this girl off this. Yeah, but is it not shock? Because that's when she effectively tells him that she's got the virus. And he's obviously like, oh fuck, I shagged you a few months ago, so it's almost like a kind of shock effectively from him, like, oh Christ, I've probably got HIV and I've passed it on to Ashley's mum from the two of us, who is his wife. That is a fucking hell of a deep cut reference, kids. Yeah. All our young listeners will be really pleased with that one. But yeah, that's the way I took it. But I know what you mean. It is kind of like, and surely dropping her off there, it's not a massive drop, and it's also Edinburgh Castle. I'm pretty sure there's people milling about under there. It's not the best place to throw a drug-addled prostitute off of, is it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said something at the beginning of the podcast which is quite, it's just bears a bit more conversation. So we've obviously had Train Spotting, which we've done, and Train Spotting, the sort of story of Train Spotting is very much set in Edinburgh of the late 80s, near the 90s. It is about drug users and shows the consequences of that sort of lifestyle. Looking After Jojo, the same, it's covering all the same ground as Train Spotting, really. It's obviously well documented that Edinburgh had a serious issue with heroin and as a result HIV and AIDS in the 80s and 90s. But I'm trying to think what other series, because it's sort of like for The Advocates, it's not it's kind of the main thing, but it's kind of not either. It's sort of about people in power abusing their position, the exploitation of young women, the effect of drugs on the community and whatnot, but also about how this sort of gunslinging young solicitor can get to the bottom of it all. But what others? I'm trying to think what other series or films that have been set in or around Edinburgh that have sort of focused on the problems that the city was having in the 80s and 90s. Not so much. Obviously, you've got Shallow Grave, where Hugo dies of a heroin overdose, but he's English, so I guess that doesn't really count as such. But I don't know. You raised quite a valid point there, but maybe it does just seem, because it is Train Spotting, for example, that we think of Edinburgh in the kind of late 80s, early 90s. And exactly as you've said, looking after Jojo, that's because we watched that so recently, and that is so kind of in our mind about the drug problem in Edinburgh. And because of this as well, because it's very much, focused on that. Maybe it is we've just kind of hit out and we've watched those three. I don't know. There probably is.
Yeah. There's the one that we've been trying to get hold of, that Shoot for the Sun with Brian Cox and Jimmy Neal. The one that we've been trying to find. I mean, there's little bits and clips of it on YouTube, but I can't seem to. Maybe have a look in the BFI's. The BFI's got a streaming service. Maybe I'll see if it's on there. But it could be lost to time, you know what I mean, as well. Like, I think a lot of TV companies would just sort of tape over stuff. They wouldn't necessarily keep these series unless they had been proven to be really successful. But that's a film, though, isn't it? Shoot for the Sun. It's not a TV show. No. So yeah, so maybe there's one. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sort of tropes, I think, in this. There's the whole sort of establishment and anti-establishment, within the legal circle there. You've got Greg, who I guess represents the anti-establishment. You've got Alex, who sort of has a foot in each camp, and then you've got Lennox. You've got this case that's going on in Brussels that they're trying to talk her into going over to work on and stuff, and the whole kind of public schoolboy thing with Campbell and his son, who's attempting a world record, like sailing or something, by some weird sort of random thing which felt a bit shoehorned in, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I guess they kind of needed that there, because that's effectively the link that takes down the drug kind of thing at the end. It takes down Milligan and Bill Webster. And it is very much kind of he is the link, because Campbell knows what's happening, because he's found the cocaine in his pocket, despite the fact he doesn't use. So he knows what's going on. And then he kind of does tip off Catherine, I think, at the end, in terms of the whole drug thing. So I think that was kind of needed, but again, it was like another layer as well of something else. Like, don't get me wrong, as I say, obviously I really enjoyed this, but it did seem like there was a lot of layers. But then, is that a bad thing? Because as we discussed, I'd rather watch something that's going to be a little bit more complex rather than something that is handed to you. Something you have to actually think about when you're watching and paying attention to. It's always good to have that.
Yeah, you want something. I mean, I was worried that this might be a bit sort of soapy. I thought it. Before I started watching, I thought it was going to be about these people who work for this law firm and their lives and their dealings with each other and all that sort of stuff. I was quite relieved when it got going, and the narrative of the story is sort of a sort of prominent element. And really, you don't learn a great deal about the characters in that first series. We've spoken about what we know about Greg. We know that Alex's auntie, Isla Blair, runs the law firm, and she's just been taking an oath as an advocate. We don't really know much about Isla Blair's character other than the fact that she is, this law firm is sort of falling in her lap and it's stressing her out, and she's friendly with this Judge Campbell, but that's sort of it. They just sort of tell you enough to kind of flesh out the character, and then they sort of focus on this complex narrative and story.
No, I think it's quite well done. Yeah, I think overall, and I am looking forward. I will watch Series 2, and in Series 2, as I say, it's pretty much a completely new cast, but it's Robert Carlyle is one of the main actors, and you'll be pleased to see Rachel Weisz plays Greg's girlfriend in the second series. So I don't know what happened to Stella and the lovely Alex, because I mean it's quite clear at the end. I mean, that's kind of as the episode is wrapping up. I mean, I do like the as you mentioned, when Milligan is getting arrested on the beach, and the police officer says to him, "We've got you, Milligan, and I like it. Yeah. I really like it."
Yeah.
We've got you, Milligan, and I like it. I really like it.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's very weird. But then when Alex and Greg, are leaving the party at Edinburgh Castle towards the end, I mean, it's quite obvious. Like, they're going to be getting down and dirty tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they go away, sort of all grievances forgotten, arms around each other. He's got his tie loosened off. You know what I mean? It's like a 1980s advert for like a Jaguar or something.
Well, that's what my instant thought was. Remember the old Volkswagen adverts? It was kind of like that kind of style. Yeah, definitely, kind of along that way.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought, I really did enjoy the show. The Advocates, and I will look forward to watching series 2.
Yeah.
But it's amazing it's taken me so long to actually come round to it. But thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Even Bill Webster. I mean, even seeing Bill Webster in a sauna, kind of got me, still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, the actor, although we're calling him, we keep calling him Bill Webster, but the actor's name is actually Peter Armitage. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago of cancer, sadly, but he had been coming back to Coronation Street over and over again from like the late 1970s to as recently as, I think, the sort of late 2000s, something like that, mid 2000s. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he also appeared in some classics, The Sweeney and The Professionals as well, amongst other things. He's sort of, I'm not quite sure about the character of Veach that he plays, because was he supposed to be a guy who works for Jet Homes or he's a builder or something like that?
Yeah.
But he's entangled with these drug guys in Edinburgh. He's supposed to have been in a bit of trouble with the law in Newcastle as well, like fraud and stuff. And then, of course, the only reason he's in court is because Doctor Sangster fucking twats him one at the community meeting.
But yeah, he's trying to get this housing development over the mark, and unfortunately, Dr. Sangster's clinic is kind of in the way. So that's when we see him. He's getting those dirty needles.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know they're dirty. It's just
needles.
these needles. He's getting them from Milligan and saying that he found them in the area so that the local community will be outraged. Yeah, I mean, he's
just a
dirty
twat. It's a wronging.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I think we should definitely watch the second series rather, for a future episode of the Culture Swally.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I might even watch I haven't watched it because I didn't want to kind of spoil, difficult speaking about the series 1 when you've seen series 2. So yeah, but I think I'll definitely watch it probably in the near future. But yeah, I think we'll cover it on a later episode as well. And go into depth. I'd like to see what happens and what develops.
Did you watch it with the lovely Mrs. Nicky?
No. No, I didn't. No, I just watched it myself.
Yeah, me too. I cranked it out, all 3 episodes back to back on Thursday morning. So
I did figure, because it's quite old and dated. I did figure that it might be a bit too old.
Yeah, keep her. Well, she's young, right? So it might not keep her attention.
She's not a couple of years younger than me, right? She's young. Jesus Christ.
Younger. No, I'm only kidding. Cool. So is it time to put the Advocates through our Swally Awards?
Yeah, I think we could. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. What have we got first?
So first award then. So as we made a unexpected appearance on the pod the episode earlier on, the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. Who'd you pick?
I actually went with Cal McInnish.
Oh, did you?
For this. Just going back through his history. He's been in a lot of Scottish stuff. So yeah, that's who I went for.
Right.
What about yourself?
I went for Clive Russell, who plays the policeman, although he's not actually Scottish. He was born in, he was born in Yorkshire, but he was brought up in Fife, so he does speak with a Scottish accent.
It's fine, he counts.
Yeah. So yeah, I went for him because he's been in a lot of stuff, including Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright's celebrated Spaced. He plays the comic book editor or oat company owner or something, whatever.
Ah, that famous Scottish sitcom Spaced.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the Bobby the Barman Award for Best Pub.
So we have, I counted 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's the wine bar that Alex and Catherine have a drink in when they're speaking about Brussels.
Yep.
There's the pub that Greg meets Sam, the policeman, in episode 2. And then there's this pub where Milligan meets Campbell's son, and there appears to be a drag act on in the background whilst he's playing the puggy, which I thought was a bit strange. If I had to pick one of those 3, I'm picking the one that Greg and Sam are in episode 2. That looks like a right fucking nice little pub. Nice little boozer. I wouldn't be adverse to the wine bar either. I don't know if I could handle the pub in episode 3. It looks a bit too rough and ready for my liking, but
it's got kind of pink triangle vibes about it, that pub, so it does.
But yeah, the one in episode 2, definitely, that looks like a great little boozer.
It does, yeah, but the wine bar didn't do it for me, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So it reminded me a little bit of that weird bar in the Big Man. Remember that Liam Neeson goes to, that sort of 1980s sort of neon.
Oh yeah,
the sort of last place you go for a pint.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one then, the Jake McQuillan Your Teazoot Award. What'd you go for? And there's only one, right?
Sangster smacking Bill Webster, isn't it? Yeah, in episode 1, yeah. It's a hell of a punch.
I've written down here, Dr. Thumps Kevin's Da. Okay, next one. Sitting laughing at my own joke like a cunt here. Okay, so next one then. I couldn't find anything to give this award to, but the Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity.
It's just Bill Webster's big omelette nipples in the sauna.
Yeah.
If I could steal a line from Romulus Roy there. Yeah, that was the only nudity. Yes, just the 2 of them topless in the sauna with their towels round, and just pumping soap from the dispenser and off and having a shower straight out of the sauna. I thought that was quite a strange little setup there that they have in that health club. But
these
never mind.
These guys weren't metrosexuals like you and I, Nicky. You know, we would be in there with our products.
Yes.
You know. Yeah. There was a moment when I thought Cal's cock might make an appearance there. In that scene, because he's sort of lying down on the sauna, and he gives Bill a bollocking, and then he sort of gets up quite abruptly, and he's got quite
gives him a bollock.
He gets up quite abruptly, and he's only got quite a short sort of towel on. I thought, look out! But fortunately, it stayed where it was.
We didn't see his cockerel, just his falcon.
Yeah. Next one then. So again, prime time, ITV, early 1990s, bit of a difficult one, but the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. I don't think there's anything above a kind of bloody or a bollocks, is there, in it? Maybe a shit.
I was quite surprised because, this must have been on about 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
The peak tide, like kind of that time. So I thought there might be a few, because I watched this twice, and the second time I really carefully listened out, and I found one. And it's a great delivery. It is Andrea when she's speaking to Greg's mum, when she's kind of looking after her in episode 3, and Doogie Allen's went, who says it's because you scared the shite out of her.
Yeah.
And that was all I had. Again, as you say, there was a few bloodies, but there's nothing like really bad in it, which kind of surprised me.
No, I wasn't that surprised, because I don't think you really got. Certainly wouldn't have had any F-bombs being dropped at that time on the telly. I think even like movies, like if they showed RoboCop or something like that at 10:30 at night, I think quite a lot of the swearing would have been cut out. You know what I mean? It just wasn't allowed. Okay, like archetypal Scots moment.
Party at Edinburgh Castle with bagpipes and kilts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Or do you have something else?
Yeah, I've put...
Is it heroin in Edinburgh?
No. I did think about putting that, but it seems a bit distasteful. Yeah, no, I had Greg's suspicion and disdain for public schoolboys. There's something sort of really quite Scottish about that. Them and us kind of, because he's sort of lamenting at the end about how Campbell's son is just going to sort of walk away from it and all that, and and because of who he is by the public school boys and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, it's quite a Scottish thing, especially when you've just done 4 years at Cambridge, probably surrounded by public school boys.
Very true.
Yeah. And then who Sean Connery Award? Who won the production?
Kind of torn here. Like, I mean, Ewan Stewart, because it is his vehicle effectively, but I kind of give it to Shirley Henderson.
Yeah. I give it to Shirley Henderson. I mean, I thought Ewan Stewart's great, and like I said at the beginning of the episode, I wasn't really sure about him as a leading man, because everything else that I've seen him in, he's either been like a kind of bit player, or he's been part of the ensemble, if you like in looking after Jojo. I think that's probably one of his best performances as an actor. But he's sort of bumping elbows with real fucking heavyweights as well, like Kevin McKidd and Robert Carlyle and all that kind of thing. And he's absolutely excellent. But I thought Shirley Henderson, considering that, kind of young actress, that part could have been a bit, I think she elevates the role, the way she plays it. I think, it could have been quite a different character without her interpretation of it. And I think especially in the last episode, she's really sort of knocking it out the park. So I gave it to her as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think she puts in a great performance. And as you say, it could have been a bit of a bit part role. She's a poor little prostitute with HIV, drug addicted, but she really delivers this kind of gravitas, and you really feel for her. And you're kind of, when she's confronting towards the end, when she's confronting Lennox, you're really kind of rooting for her, like, go on. Tell him you've got the virus, and he's probably got it as well. Go on, kind of the comeuppance. But she's great.
I think it's always good to see a character who has, we've seen her being abused a bit by Milligan. He gives her a slap in one episode, and she's clearly under his control. She's clearly a vulnerable character, and it's always good when you see these kind of vulnerable, sort of oppressed characters sort of shaking it off and standing up for themselves. And she does it really well.
Yeah, because the whole thing. She's great. The scene where she's when Ewan Stewart picks her up to kind of question her, she's brilliant in terms of the kind of quick-witted, oh, we're doing it in the back of the car, oh, have you got a hotel room? Like, it's cheeky little prostitute, but it's great.
Cheeky little prostitute.
Anyway, so great. Well, that was series 1 of The Advocates. And as I say, it is available to watch on YouTube. I think all episodes are separate. Series 2, I've also found on YouTube, but somebody has put them all together as like one
big long one
film.
Oh.
So it's like, it's like 2.5 hours long. Yeah. So, but it's no problem because you watched the first series in a wonder as well.
It's fine.
It's all fine. Right, well, that was my choice, Greg. So why don't you tell us what we're going to be looking at next time on the Culture Swally?
So I've gone for another Scottish crime series, one that I remember watching when it was on. It was on in 2011. It's based on the novels of Scottish crime writer Denise Mina, and it stars, and this is a absolutely packed cast. It stars Matt Costello, Ford Kiernan, David Morrissey, Peter Capaldi, Brian Pettifer, Jade Johnson, Brona Gallagher, and it's The Field of Blood.
I've never seen that.
No, I think you were in Dubai when it was on the TV.
So that obviously would have passed me by. I've never seen that, but I does ring a bell. So I will. I'll have to. Yeah. Well, obviously I'll have to give it a watch. So I'm fucking reviewing it in 2 weeks' time. So. I'll look forward to it. It'll be a bit of a short podcast if I don't watch it.
It'll just be me talking about it. Just me telling you all about it. But yeah,
didn't bother. Couldn't be arsed. Oh, no, it sounds great. Yeah. I look forward to that. I'd love a good... 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
Say.
Series 1, 2 episodes. The Field of Blood. Yeah.
Right. I will. I'll get on that and look forward to discussing that with you on the next episode. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this show, and you can follow us on the socials. You can follow us on Instagram at Culture Swally Pod, or you can follow us on Twitter at Swally Pod. And if you have seen anything in the news you'd like us to cover, or if you have anything that you would like us to review on the podcast, then you can get in touch with us on cultureswally@gmail.com. And just feel free to drop us a line and say hello as well. We'll get back to you. And Greg, we have a wonderful website as well, don't we?
We do. You can find us at cultureswally.com. And in the last episode, I was saying that it was a little bit neglected. I have since done some work on it. I've updated the Swally tally. I've updated all the episode links, and there'll be a new blog post by the time this episode comes out as well. So come and check us out.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Greg. Much appreciated. You up to anything else exciting today?
No. I think we're going to go. My family and I have been watching MasterChef Junior on the Gordon Ramsay one from the US. I wasn't quite prepared for what an emotional roller coaster it is when these, like, the kids are between 8 years old and 12 years old, and obviously one gets like sent home every week, and it's the last few episodes have been quite tough. You become quite attached to the little characters and stuff, you know what I mean? And then and then big Gordo fucking sends one home for making a cunt of their meal or whatever it is. So yeah, we've got the semi-final and the final to watch tonight. So sort of strapping myself in for that emotional whirlwind.
Oh, well, I hope you managed to get over and it's all okay. Just have a box of tissues ready. Not for that reason, obviously. But yeah, just have a box of tissues ready. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Well, enjoy. And I'll look forward to catching up with you on the next episode. All right, Greg. Till next time.
Where are we going then? You're quite attractive. No acne. It's a change.
Let's do without the soundtrack, shall we? Where do you usually go?
Depends. It's not a backseat job, is it? A marquise. Oh, don't tell me I got lucky and you booked into a room at the Plaza.
Take me where Julie went.
Who's Julie?
She died.
Oh, you want to forget Julie? You one of her regulars? I do everything she did. I do some things better.
You're full of the same stuff anyway.